Hello everyone, welcome back to another Aliens Fireteam Elite 2 video. Today we're going to be reacting to what was shown as a Horde. Now I'm a little behind. I had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with my own personal life, so it made it a little hard to make content. But there's a lot of catching up to do, a lot of Aliens Fireteam Elite 2 stuff. So expect that to be coming out more consistently, I should say, and within the time frame before the game releases, because the game comes out on the 25th. So that's big news. That's really awesome to hear. So we're going to get started right now. We're going to react to this Horde, kind of like watch it together, and I'll do some live reactions as I'm watching it, and then I'll give my thoughts afterwards. Anyways, let's get started.
Oh, burster.
I am the ultimate badass.
Drone right here. We got a drone.
Okay, so first things first, this man is playing by himself, or maybe with one other person. Maybe the hunter is the actual. Yeah, the hunter looks like to be an actual player. The arena looks pretty cool. Nope, we got blown up from a burster. It looks like the burster knocked us down. That's interesting.
It's been 5 years
Oh, okay, so there's two maps,
since we
possibly.
first set foot on the ready line of the UAS Endeavour, and following the announcement of the next expedition prepping for launch, we've been very much looking forward.
Those are pathogen runners, by the way. It may not be easy to tell, but those are white, and they're not the black runner type. They are the white pathogen runners. So this means Horde is going to have pathogen as well.
Thanks to Cold Iron Studios, that day has come a bit sooner than expected.
That's really cool to
as
see.
we were granted exclusive early access to a preview build of the game's full Horde mode. So come get some with us as we survive waves of unrelenting enemies in Aliens Fireteam Elite 2. Immediately as we booted the preview up, the menus and UI were instantly recognizable, heavily featuring the retro future tech vibes we've come to expect in the world.
Okay, now, if this is just a loading screen, that's interesting. But if all four of these here, if you can see my mouse, right? If each of these is a different map we can play on, that'd be pretty cool.
Particularly this incarnation of Aliens Fireteam Elite seems heavily inspired by the aesthetic of Alien Romulus, with its yellow tinted layouts and heavily chunky sounding computer noises. From what we've been able to glance at from traversing
an engineer in the background,
the game's presentation and production value have seen a welcome significant upgrade from the original. We'd also be remiss if we didn't mention our delight at
and then see here,
hearing some of the
see the runners here. You can tell the difference between the pathogen runners they were killing earlier. Notice how they don't have all the spines on their back, and these ones are just more streamlined. That's how you can tell that they were fighting pathogen runners on the actual Horde itself. So that's really cool to see.
Hence new score by composer Austin Wintory.
So it's not just going to be runners this time, or xenomorphs as the only enemies to interact with.
Let's get into our gameplay impressions.
Okay, and that means now this is confirmed we also have synths.
Shall we?
So this is really cool. That means it's not going to just be fighting the same enemy faction for Horde indefinitely.
Horde mode in the original Aliens Fireteam Elite, you know the gist of things here. This is wave survival against enemies while you and your team see how far you can make it before exfilling with your earned rewards or getting yourselves wiped out in the process.
Your team
There's been some notable tweaks here, with rounds ending every 5 waves instead of the previous
runners again.
10. Each round takes about 12 to 15 minutes to complete, lending this mode to short and intense play sessions. There's always the choice. Do you bail out?
12 to 15 minutes to complete. Now, if they are playing this game, I'm assuming that they're playing on standard or intense. They're not playing on insane. I would expect that time to get extended, not greatly, but I would expect it to get extended a little bit. You're probably looking at more like 20 minutes minimum for the harder difficulties.
With what rewards you've earned after a hard-fought 5 waves? Or do you press on for even greater rewards if you can make it through another round? We had the pleasure of dropping on each of the 3 Horde mode maps that will be available at launch.
Okay, and I bet you each of the 3 of the maps maybe have a specified faction tied to them then.
Crash Landed, Black Site, and Crusher. Crash Landed is near the base of a looming atmosphere processor, which seems to be based on the early campaign level we saw in the
So this is very, very much Aliens vibe.
IGN preview.
At least.
Black Site takes place in a reddish desert-type biome, with a crashed engineer vessel surrounding the area. And finally, Crusher is underground in a mining facility with heavy machinery.
Graphics look good.
Beyond their visual differences, the maps play a bit differently as well. Crash Landed was more like a classic arena, with a central landing platform.
And you can see the pathogen again are here. There's the blight spitters.
can make their way to you from the distance.
That's a new enemy type that you saw on the left. There's two of them.
Blacksite had surrounding elevated catwalks on the sides that you could use to get some distance from a group of enemies. And Crusher featured multiple floors, having a real focus on verticality.
Or maybe
We
it's
didn't
just
really find
RNG each
spots
time.
where we
That's,
could just
I
hide
don't
in a
know.
corner and hold up with a single choke point. But with enough planning, you can still effectively make a defensive stand. In between rounds, you'd be wise to run over to the vending machine, as our new colonial marines were fond of saying, resupply or die. Here you use points you've earned for surviving a wave.
Okay, this is no different than the original. You were able to earn points all the time. Anytime you finished waves, you wouldn't get a large amount of them, but just enough to squeak by with like maybe 4 extra cryos or something like that. So
to
it's interesting to see how much
equipment.
money
Elemental
they'll
ammo
give per
types
round.
play more of a role in AFE2. With each enemy type having an elemental ammo they're vulnerable and resistant to. With the new 4-player squad option, I joined up with fellow Alien vs. Predator Galaxy staff members Corporal Hicks, the Xenoplays, and Still Collating to deploy into the chaos on LV-558. If you can't join up with friends during a play session, you can always fight alongside your trusty Seeks in Combat synthetic companions, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma.
Or you can turn them off.
You can go it solo.
Okay, so
Also,
I saw people asking, can you do true solo in this game? You could in the first game, but you'd have to kill the bots, but they'd always spawn in automatically. In this game, it looks like you can just turn it off, so it's not necessary, which is pretty cool to see. It wasn't really a bother to kill them, but it did waste time in the beginning to just sit there and shoot at them. So it's a quality of life thing that's nice to see, that you can just actually turn everything off.
So we're not only against xenomorphs this time around. Each time you fire up Horde mode, you'll randomly face Xenos, pathogenic enemies.
Okay, so something to note of here. Praetorian still had the same attack pattern as in the first game there, where if it runs up to you, it does the jumping attack where it jumps in the air and tries to double swipe down into you. And same thing here with the Brute here. These are both attacks that were in the first game, so it looks like, at least in terms of attack patterns, they've kept some of the same attacks from the first game.
Or Wayland
So that means that
combat synthetic.
that means that we should have access to learning, being able to dodge them the same way. But not only being able to dodge them the same way, you should also be able to interrupt them the same way. So if we still have a melee parry system in this game like the first game, then you know they're coming, you can actually interrupt them if you're fast enough.
You'll be up against those enemies for 5 waves, and should you choose to continue the carnage, you could randomly face more of those enemies or another enemy type. While there is a bit of thrill in the anticipation of which enemy type is coming your way, we do hope to be able to select, perhaps via challenge cards, which enemies we face. As we sometimes found.
Okay, so what he's saying right now is that it is RNG every time you load in. It's just one of 3 factions that you're going to have to fight. You don't get to pick. That can be annoying, and the reason why I say that is because if you are building into this, you may have very distinct builds for fighting Synths versus Pathogen versus Xenos. Now, in the first game, the breakpoints were all very different. So Pathogen runners had a lot of HP. Synths had also a good amount of HP, and then runners had the least amount of HP. So you could bring builds tailored around different breakpoints and different TTKs or time to kill. So different guns could be brought and used and utilized differently. So that actually does matter in the sense of if you're trying to build around that.
Ourselves restarting matches because we just wanted to take on those Xenos. Speaking of challenge cards,
I think a fix for this, honestly, would just be if you don't do quick match, maybe have it the host can just set what you fight. Sorry, you have it set to only Xenomorphs, only Pathogen, only Synths, or have it just all 3, or maybe you only want to fight 2 of the enemy factions.
It can be used in Horde mode at launch this time around, and unlike the first game, all challenge cards chosen by all players will go into effect. Mixing and matching up to 4 cards can certainly make for some wild combinations. While we also have most of the enemy types from the first.
Mix and matching 4 challenge cards now is going to be an insane thing, especially if you want to look at challenge runs, the way us as the community have pushed different things. We can just look at like coming out of the damn walls. If you play AFE Enhanced, there's also new challenge cards that adds even more chaos to the mix. So just imagining coming out of the damn walls with all prowlers only, and then maybe packs of synths will also come out or something like that, or enemies move faster too. These are all things that you can add to create a truly nightmarish experience if you really want to ramp up the game's difficulty.
Game returning, the new enemy types are more varied than I expected. Each faction's numerous standard and high priority threats create unique combat encounters. The new Siren Xenomorph emits a loud screeching rattle, calling in other Xenos to overwhelm you. It likes to keep calling from afar and will try and run from you if you find it. These need to be taken out quickly, and they can sometimes spawn in pairs, which can make for a mad dash to find them and bring them down. There's also...
Okay, so right there, one thing to note to see is that the splashback from the AoE that they used actually caused them to get frozen as well. So there is negatives to using things point blank then.
a massive and hulking new Xenomorph type, the Warden, which towers over you and takes focused fire and abilities to bring down. The other two factions have
The
new
Warden just
outfits
looks
of
like
their own.
a
Part of the way
the Warden just looks like a mixture between a Crusher and a Spitter. It's just another disruptor, meaning to break up your formation.
you sense forces are new robotic enemies.
Spider-like robots that probably rush you a lot faster to kind of make up for the sense, more or less just standing there shooting you from
With
afar.
variations of spider bots and larger assault units, which honestly made us think of Star Wars' battle droids. The pathogen enemies also have nasty new foes, such as the Gas Bag and Harbinger. We also encountered another imposing new pathogen enemy that will leave you to discover for yourselves. While the Marine classes you play as may feel familiar to some of their roles from the first game, these classes are distinct in their new abilities and available weapons. I particularly enjoyed playing as the Duelist, who had dual primary weapon slots. I couldn't help but use both the classic M41A pulse rifle as well as Alien Romulus' F44A.
Okay, yeah, so primary. But what does primary mean? Is primary just only rifles, rifles and shotguns, rifles and heavies? Because they have to distinguish what is a secondary then, because that could be a big thing that actually distinguishes
The
specialists
Duelist
then.
also has various grenade types they can equip, as well as a powerful additional limited-use weapon, the BD-76 Raniax platform rifle. Another class that many players will be sure to use is the Specialist class, which allows you to create your own custom class from scratch. They have primary and signature class weapon slots, and their abilities and perks can be taken from all the other classes to build one that fits your playstyle. Beyond the impressive new presentation, there are also some nice quality of life additions and gameplay tweaks. You can crouch at any time instead of only while in cover like in the first game.
Yep, they showed that. We don't need to see specialist. Maybe he was talking about duelist. Maybe I misheard the first time. He was talking about duelist with dual primaries. But
Two players can revive a down Marine or combat synth at one.
okay, so double revive speeds it up now, as opposed to both of you start reviving and it just slows it down. Or only one of you will get the revive and then the other person will get stuck behind. In the sense of they're just kind of sitting there waiting.
Which accelerates the process. And players are equipped with a new melee stun baton, which can be used to swing at enemies bunching up on you. All the difficulties return from the first game,
fire.
but they've
Yep.
seen some changes. Enemies are less bullet spongy than the first game on higher difficulties, but the high priority threats will appear earlier and more often. Abilities will also cost friendly fire, and ammo boxes will have a finite supply, forcing you to seek out ammo.
Ammo boxes have finite supply now. Okay, enemies have less health, but they're going to spam more specialists. Interesting. They're going to spam more crushers and more of that stuff. That's hard to say. The biggest problem is that if enemies do not have enough health to survive getting to you, a team that's actually well coordinated and does a lot of damage, it doesn't matter how many crushers you throw, or I should say, I guess, if you add more prowlers or bursters to the mix. If a team is full of AoE and CC, the enemies aren't going to get any closer than they would have had you just spawned more of them. They're going to die just as fast because it's going to be CC and AoE, which just makes AoE stronger. And lowering the health makes AoE even stronger again. So it's like a triple down on AoE and CC, where those just become super important and the most powerful things in the game. It's hard to say just yet because we haven't been able to test on Insane. We'd have to be able to get the game, get a hold of it, and play on Insane and test it. But I will say right now, my biggest concern is lowering the enemy's health too much to try to accommodate this. Oh, they're not bullet sponges. The problem is in the first game, they were never bullet sponges. They only lived long enough to either threaten to get to you, or that they would die before they could get to you. And a lot of people will tell you, you lower their health to be quote unquote more manageable or less bullet spongy, and nothing will get to your team and nothing will survive long enough to get to you. Adding more specials and elites or veterans and captains, depending on what terminology you want to call them by, that can help. But again, lowering their health too, if it's too much, even with their health being lowered, you're just essentially having a bunch of mid bosses chasing you around, and then it becomes kiting, as opposed to your team having to be locked in on DPS. But again, that's also alleviated by having heavy CC builds, which can then stall them out, and then you'll kill them anyways. So this is going to be a fine line. We'll have to wait for the game to come out, but there is pause for concern in the sense of how they balance the less health, more special spawns. So we'll have to wait and see for sure, but that's something to keep in mind.
Box is in another area of the map if your squad relies on one too much. The ammo
Also, the ammo box being not infinite is fine as long as more of them spawn in different locations. And if the maps are big enough and they, again, they facilitate rotating around and having different locations to fortify, that's fine.
will eventually respawn though. We had a
Okay, they do respawn, so you just have to wait then after X.
blast playing the new Horde mode.
The friendly fire on abilities is going to be interesting too, because that means you can't just fire indiscriminately into yourself or into other people. So that's going to be a huge learning curve I think people are going to have to transition from. So you'll probably see a lot of complaints from that from the community, I would be willing to bet, until it gets figured out and adjusted for. And it probably is going to be even worse if you go higher in difficulty with the friendly fire being cranked up.
Of Aliens Fireteam Elite 2. It feels like a multiplier was applied to everything we enjoyed about the original title. Enemies are faster and more cunning, combat is more dynamic, and the customization, class building...
I'm gonna contradict them right there. Then none of the enemies seem fast. They don't seem any faster. Now, you can apply this with, I've been playing AFE Enhanced, so I have a bit of a bias, you could say, towards it, where the enemies in AFE Enhanced are increased by 33% already, so they're already faster than base game. But the drones and all that, they don't look any faster. The way the Praetorian was moving, the way the Crusher was moving, the way the Warrior was moving, the drone was moving, that looked all like base game movement speed. And AFE Enhanced doesn't touch those. It only affects the runner's movement speed to make them faster, so they're more of a threat. But all the specials and captains and all that were never touched. So they don't look faster to me. So I'm going to say I don't actually see that so far in this gameplay. If they don't look faster. But again, maybe it's just something that maybe the higher difficulty increases their speed. I don't know, but I disagree. They don't look any faster to me personally.
And challenge cards seem like they'll reach new levels of depth. We can't wait to jump back aboard the Endeavor when the game releases later this summer. This has been Rich Top from AVP Galaxy, signing off.
Alrighty, so that's the end of the video. We'll just see. I think it's just it's just the team and the patrons there. But I will say here, if you guys haven't already, go check them out. Give them some support. Go ahead and watch their video as always, especially for reacting to another content creator or anything like that. Like, don't just come here for mine. But what I want to say is my closing thoughts are: Horde looks interesting. The fact that we have 3 factions, I like that a lot. That's really good. My biggest concern is that, again, lowering enemy health. Horde became Horde. The Horde modes in the first game specifically, AoE was already very strong, and lowering enemy health now and just spawning more specials may fix the issue. But the problem is that I have personally seen that if you bring better AoE, it doesn't matter. Friendly fire on AoE is new and interesting, so it adds more complexity and diversity to the builds, and you have to be smarter. I like that. The skill ceiling is raised because of it. And more enemy types is going to be good. And then also ammo boxes disappearing will make Horde harder, which is definitely the end game content you would push for anyways in AFE. So all in all, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm curious to see if we can get more information on more stuff. I have to watch the breakdown of all the new classes they were showcasing as my next thing to do. And I will see you guys there, or if I put out another video. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!